have our presenter, Thom Burns from Mount Auburn Cemetery. Thom has been the curatorial consultant in the historical collections and archives at Mount Auburn Cemetery for 3 years. Thom is also the museum and curatorial assistant at the Gibson House Museum and a digitization technician at Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. Thom has a master's in technical art history from the University of Glasgow and a BA in the history of art from Yale University. Before moving to the Boston area, Thom worked in various museums in New York, London, and Washington, D.C. His work focuses on museum management, and his art historical focus is on British and American, with a concentration in queer artists from the 1800s. And with this project, and a little bit about Mount Auburn Cemetery is America's first garden cemetery and is unique in maintaining an archive of its business and correspondence materials from its founding in 1831. Transcribing Mount Auburn was created at the beginning of the pandemic to allow for remote work of existing volunteers and staff, and has transformed into a broad public project to transcribe and make searchable the early historical documents and letters in the cemetery's collection. So with that, I will let Thom tell you more about this project.
Hello, thank you so much for the invite, and I'm happy to share kind of our successes of our From the Page project, which compared to, I would say, the other groups that you might hear today, is a bit coming from a more smaller institution with a lot more, I guess, modest means, but having a resounding and great impact on our organization, as well as the individuals who work with it. So that being said, Mount Auburn Cemetery, as was just explained, is a lot of different things to a lot of people. It is first and foremost a cemetery, a place to remember people, and founded in 1831. It has also evolved to become a historic site of horticulture, an arboretum, a bird sanctuary. Some people use it as their public green space in the neighboring area, as well as just a wonderful kind of historic landmark. The big things about Mount Auburn Cemetery is that our records happen to deal with not only kind of records from genealogical interests, but also we're kind of unique in maintaining our business records compared to other cemeteries. So we have a group of, I guess, what one would perceive a cemetery to have. And then we have a ton more work that a lot of the public wouldn't necessarily think that we would have. Things like an invoice up here from 1868 about different floral things that we bought. A artist, Randolph Rogers, receipt for a sculpture that the cemetery commissioned him to do. So stuff of very broad interest from a very specific institution. And so one of the things that we kind of love about our From the Page project, especially for a cemetery, is being able to index and decide what we get to index. So one thing that we are both challenged with and kind of get a plus with is being a cemetery, we have descendants of the same families, we have other people who aren't related, all with similar names, matching names, or lineages, that the indexing and From the Page allows us to distinguish between. The other thing is that a person's lot can also be what we only reference. So that is a number, then its path, and the person. So by connecting all three of those, here, Harriet Hosmer, the sculptor, you're able to draw the researcher into all of the different kind of branches of a research tree that our documents kind of can produce. And for us, it's actually unlocking an amazing ability to go through our copybooks, which are 300, 400 pages, our trustee books, and our individual letter records, and kind of all weave them together to get a more complex understanding of our history. And the wonderful thing that it has is, being a historic site, our volunteers were locally based before. And with the launch of this project, we've actually realized that this is an amazing tool that allows volunteers from across the world in America to participate and to know about Mount Auburn. So the map here actually illustrates the work done by different people across the Americas. So seeing that now people are not only know about Mount Auburn and our historic importance, but are actually giving their time as far away as California. We were able to do a survey and see that people who came to our From the Page collection, 82% of them didn't have an interest in cemeteries, yet they wanted to work on our project. And then almost half of the people had never actually visited Mount Auburn before and were still giving their time and volunteering with us. So it's a very big group of volunteers that we've been able to grow and kind of bring into our crowd while still engaging with our pre-existing volunteers that were with us in person and will be with us again. And yeah, so our big takeaways are creating access to our materials that weren't accessible before, linking across our records, and then being able to grow and sustain a group of volunteers across America. So with that, I want to thank you for once again inviting me, and then thank all of our volunteers.